So today I'd like to talk about how the Eightfold Noble Path helps us to be of service to others. Recently I've been helping to facilitate the Safe Group 6, and that particular module is on the Four Noble Truths. And since it's included in the middle scope, then it can be taught in terms of the three higher trainings, and the three higher trainings encompass the Eightfold Noble Path. For example, the higher training of ethics includes right speech, right action, right livelihood. I don't have them memorized yet. The higher training in concentration includes right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, and the higher training in wisdom includes right understanding or view and right thought. So one point that stood out to me from Venerable's teaching is how the Eightfold Path supports us in our aspiration to be of benefit to others. Obviously, we need the right view and the right thought in order to generate understanding in others, and specifically that's talking about an understanding of karma at the very beginning of the path, or an understanding of the final view at the end of the path. But it's not enough just to have understanding. To generate conviction of others, in other words, to enable or to impart understanding to others through having it first ourselves, then it's obvious that other people need to believe what we say. They need to have some kind of trust or confidence in us as a person. And so it's not enough just to have information or good advice, but rather people need to trust us. They need to believe in us for our speech to be effective. Do you find that to be true? So that means that if we want to benefit others, we have to do things that will cultivate their trust in us. And it's very important to be trustworthy for others to believe in us. And this is where the practice of the Eightfold Path comes in. For example, we might think that we have really good advice to share with others. Don't we believe that? Lately, I've been trying to convince a couple people in the community not to fill their teacups quite so full, because we care about the carpet and we don't want tea spots all over the carpet. But somehow they're not listening to me, so I'm going to have to work to cultivate their trust in me as a person so that they'll take my good advice. Whether people accept our advice or not often depends on how they feel about us, whether they respect us, whether they trust what we have to say. And so we need to have right speech for others to believe what we say to them. Sometimes we might be speaking the truth, but people don't listen, or they don't believe us, or they're not interested in what we have to say. Why is that? Well, chances are good we've created improper speech in the past. So we've been involved in lying, divisive speech, harsh speech, and especially idle speech. If we've been involved in a lot of idle speech without a good purpose, then one of the outcomes of that is that people don't listen to what we say. So we need to practice using right or correct speech so that our speech is pleasant, pleasing to others, it's meaningful to others, and also bears some weight so that others want to listen to what we have to say. So can you see that in order to convey the meaning of the Dharma to others, it's necessary for us to practice right speech. Otherwise, we could say things that are absolutely spot on, but if others don't have confidence in us, they aren't going to pay attention, and then our speech can't benefit them. We probably all had experiences of that at one time or another. And that's just the way it is, isn't it? As people, they can give us very good advice, and we don't listen if we don't trust them. Also, to engender trust in others, we need to have right action. And this emphasizes the 3 physical actions from the list of the 10 paths of actions. So particularly abandoning killing, stealing, unwise sexual conduct, unwise or unkind sexual behavior, and then to adopt the opposite of those 3. But really, we need to abandon all 10, don't we? All the 10 destructive actions, and to cultivate all 10 of the positive actions. Because if we're often involved in cheating others, or lying about things, or telling half-truths, or not returning things that others have loaned us, or if we're sloppy with our sexual energy, then people aren't going to trust us as much. Even if we have great wisdom, we aren't going to be of benefit to others. So we need to practice right action. Our behavior speaks volumes, doesn't it? We can say all the right words, but if our behavior is saying something else, people pick up on that. We're not stupid. We have these little detectors. We know when someone's not congruent with what they're saying. We also need correct livelihood in order to be of greatest benefit to others. In other words, we need to learn to live simply and not to have many needs, especially as monastics. If we have many needs and a very elaborate lifestyle, then our mind will be preoccupied with attachment and how to keep up that lifestyle. And then our mind will, in the back of our mind, we'll always be thinking of how to get what we want. And for example, how to flatter someone so that they'll give us something that we want from them, or thinking to give someone a gift or something so that they'll give us something that we want from them. That kind of behavior causes others to mistrust us. Probably we have all experienced, or we've thought we've been able to perceive someone else's motivation for what they're doing. There's a kind of energy, isn't there, when people aren't being quite honest and upfront. Usually others can see through our deception when we have those moments. So when we don't have right livelihood, we'll always be trying to get things to come out in our favor. And then there's a predominance of self-centered thought in those actions. So we need to have proper livelihood. In other words, squeaky clean conduct, right? For others to have trust in us. And the purpose for doing this is so that we build others' confidence and trust in us because we not because we want to manipulate them to get what we want, but here we are, we're trying to have right speech, right action, and right livelihood because we have a genuine wish to benefit them. And we recognize that to be of benefit to others, it's necessary to have these practices as an integrated part of our life, not just something we do when the topic comes up, like in Module 6 of the SAFE course. So this is actually quite important, just looking in our own lives. Who is it that we listen to? Who is it that we have confidence and trust in? What is their behavior like? What is their speech like? So Venerable points out that, often people might be able to speak in a nice way, but if we don't trust them, we will dismiss their words. And so Venerable points out that, that doesn't say much for our discriminating wisdom. It shows that we're quite prejudiced, biased, and partial. We listen to some people, not to others, instead of being open to learning from everyone. But we have to recognize that others operate under the same limitations that we do. And if we want to help others, then we have to work within those limitations, recognizing that people are judging us by how we act, how we behave, how we speak. So it's still not sufficient to just do the above. We have to understand how people's minds work. In other words, we need to have a sensitivity, even to the point of developing clairvoyance, in order to understand people's unique dispositions, their interests, their karma, their temperament, and to speak to them, speak to what they have interest in. For that, we need to develop right concentration, and to get rid of the afflictions that plague us, that interfere with our helping others, to generate both conviction and understanding. Then we need to practice right mindfulness, right concentration, right effort. So this is a little about how Venerable Chodron taught to apply these the Eightfold Noble Path to be of service to others, and it just caught my attention. I think the SAFE course is an excellent program for learning the Dharma if we're completely new to the Dharma. It's also a good reminder of the things we've heard before, maybe many times, but it's difficult to practice them. And also a wonderful way to deepen our experience of those things, not just keeping it at an intellectual level. So I really enjoyed going through the Eightfold Path again. It's not something that we see taught very often, at least typically how Geshes and other Gelugpa teachers teach. It's not taught in great detail like Venerable went through in that course. So I really enjoyed that opportunity.